The satellite alert pinged at 300 hours. Commander Rana Iqbal jolted awake in her quarters, the blue emergency light bathing her Spartan room in an eerie glow. Her neural implant buzzed with the incoming message. Anomalous heat signature detected in Sector 9, Glacius 4's most desolate ice plains. "Display report," she commanded, her voice still husky with sleep. The holographic display materialized above her bed, showing thermal imagery of a faint, orange-red glow against the perpetual blue-white of Glacius. Impossible, she thought. Nothing survived in Sector 9. The temperatures regularly plunged to minus 70 degrees Celsius. The winds could strip flesh from bone in minutes. And yet, there it was, a heat signature where none should exist. Rana was on her feet and into her thermal suit before the full report had finished loading. As commander of the Interstellar Security Initiative's outpost Echo 9, anomalies fell under her jurisdiction, and ISI protocol was clear. No unauthorized bioforms were permitted on restricted planets, especially not Glacius 4, with its strategic location and unexplored subterranean chambers. "Commander Iqbal to operations," she spoke into her comm as she strode through the gleaming white corridors. "Prep the Raven for immediate departure. Rapid response protocol." "Copy that, Commander," came the crisp reply. "Sergeant Lee and Specialist Torres are already at the hangar." Good. Her best people. Lee had been with her through 3 deployments, and Torres was the finest pilot in the quadrant. If anyone could navigate the treacherous ice storms of Sector 9, it would be them. The hangar bay was a hive of activity when she arrived. The sleek, black Raven dropship already humming with power, its engines cycling up. Sergeant Minho Lee stood at attention, his compact frame belying his strength, while Specialist Elena Torres ran through pre-flight checks at a dizzying speed. "Brief me," Rana ordered as she strapped into her tactical harness. Lee's face was impassive as always. "Satellite picked up the signature approximately 43 minutes ago. It's weak but stable. Environmental conditions in the target zone are deteriorating. Storm front, moving in fast." "Then we move faster," Rana said. "Torres?" The pilot didn't look up from her console. "Ready when you are, Commander. But I should warn you, we've got maybe a 30-minute window before that storm makes extraction impossible." "Understood. Launch." The Raven lifted off with barely a sound, its stealth systems engaging as they cleared the outpost's shielded dome. Through the viewports, Rana watched as the stark white landscape of Glacius 4 spread out beneath them, beautiful and deadly. The planet was essentially one massive glacier, its surface a complex labyrinth of ice canyons, frozen lakes, and jagged mountains that pierced the thin atmosphere. "Approaching Sector 9, Torres announced, after 15 minutes of flight. "Thermal signature holding steady, but there's something odd about it." Rana moved to the pilot station. "Define odd." Torres gestured to her scanner. "It's pulsing, regular intervals. Like a heartbeat." A chill that had nothing to do with the outside temperature ran down Rana's spine. "Set us down 100 meters from the signature. Standard containment protocol." The Raven descended through swirling snow, buffeted by winds that howled like tortured spirits. Even with Torres's expert handling, the landing was rough, the ship groaning as its struts found purchase on the ice. "Atmosphere's breathable but toxic long-term," Lee reported, checking the external sensors. "Temperatures at minus 63 and dropping. Storm will hit in approximately 22 minutes. Rana nodded, sealing her helmet. "Let's move. Torres, keep the engines hot." She and Lee disembarked into a world of white. The snow was so fine it might have been diamond dust, swirling around their thermal suits in hypnotic patterns. Visibility was poor and worsening by the second. Their helmet lamps cut weak cones of light into the gloom. "Signals this way," Lee said, his voice coming through the comm with a slight static. He pointed toward what appeared to be a low ridge of ice. They trudged forward, each step requiring effort against the deep snow and howling wind. The ridge, when they reached it, revealed itself to be the lip of a shallow depression, almost like something had crashed there long ago and been gradually buried by the endless snowfall. "There," Rana said, pointing to a barely visible lump at the center of the depression. "That's our heat source." They approached cautiously, weapons drawn. ISI protocol was clear about unknown bioforms: contain, analyze, and if necessary, neutralize. But as they drew closer, Rana's grip on her pulse rifle slackened. "Is that?" Lee's voice trailed off in disbelief. Partially buried in the snow was a small figure, a child. No more than 6 or 7 years old by human standards, though clearly not human. The skin, visible through gaps in what appeared to be some kind of protective suit, was a pale blue, with faint patterns that might have been natural markings or some form of tattooing. The child's eyes were closed, face peaceful, as if in deep sleep, framed by white hair that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. "Life signs," Rana demanded, holstering her weapon and dropping to her knees beside the child. Lee scanned with his wrist device. "Present but weak. Commander, this is a Class A bioform. We're supposed to report and await." "I know the protocol," Rana cut him off, already activating the emergency thermal capsule from her pack. The capsule expanded around the small figure, enveloping it in a protective, temperature-regulated cocoon. "But we don't have time. That storm will hit in minutes. We either take her now or leave her to die." Her comm crackled with an incoming transmission from base. "Commander Iqbal, satellite shows you've located the anomaly. Preliminary data suggests an unregistered sentient. Recall protocol is in effect. Return to base immediately for decontamination and leave the bioform for the containment team." Rana's jaw tightened. The containment team wouldn't arrive until after the storm passed, at least 12 hours from now. The child would be dead long before then. "Negative, Command. We have a juvenile bioform. Critical condition. Implementing emergency extraction." "Commander, this is a direct order from Central. The bioform." Rana switched off her comm. "Help me with this," she told Lee, who hesitated only a moment before moving to assist. Together, they lifted the thermal capsule. "You're disobeying a direct order," Lee said quietly. "I'm saving a life," Rana replied. "Court-martial me later." They struggled back to the Raven, the wind now so fierce it nearly knocked them off their feet several times. Torres had the hatch open, helping them haul their precious cargo aboard just as the first true blast of the storm hit, rocking the ship violently. "What the hell is that?" Torres asked, staring at the capsule. "Our passenger," Rana said. "Get us out of here now." Torres didn't need to be told twice. The Raven lifted off, fighting against the storm's fury. Rana secured the capsule to the medical bay's examination table, carefully adjusting the temperature settings to slowly warm the child's core temperature. "Command's been trying to reach us," Torres called from the cockpit. "They sound pissed." "Let them wait," Rana said, not looking up from her task. "Lee, I need a full bioscan." The sergeant complied, running a handheld scanner over the capsule. Humanoid, but definitely non-human. Unusual cellular structure, some kind of cryogenic adaptation in the blood, and there's something else. Some kind of technology integrated with the organic tissue. Microscale. "Nanites?" Rana asked sharply. Nanite technology was highly regulated after the Geneva 4 incident. "Possibly. I can't tell without more sophisticated equipment." The capsule's monitoring system beeped, indicating the warming cycle was complete. Rana carefully opened the top half, revealing the child fully for the first time. She was small, delicate, with features that seemed almost sculpted from ice. Her clothing was a form-fitting bodysuit of some silvery material that seemed to shift colors slightly as it moved with her shallow breathing. "She's beautiful," Torres murmured, having set the autopilot to join them. "And completely unauthorized," Lee reminded them. We have no idea what we're dealing with here. As if responding to his voice, the child's eyes fluttered open. They were startling. Irises of such a pale silver, they were almost white, with flecks of blue that seemed to glow from within. For a moment, those alien eyes gazed up at the three humans in confusion. Then the child screamed. It wasn't a human sound. It was higher, more resonant, seeming to vibrate through their very bones. The lights in the Raven flickered, and all three adults instinctively covered their ears. "Sedate her!" Lee shouted over the noise. Rana fumbled for a sedative patch, but as she reached toward the child, those silver eyes locked onto hers. The screaming stopped abruptly. A small, blue hand reached out tentatively toward Rana's face. Acting on instinct, Rana removed her helmet, allowing the child to touch her cheek. The touch was cold, but not unpleasant. "It's okay," Rana said softly. "You're safe now." The child didn't respond verbally, but the terror in those alien eyes diminished slightly. When Torres moved closer, however, the child flinched away, pressing closer to Rana. "Looks like she's chosen you, Commander," Torres said with a slight smile. "She's just responding to whoever freed her from the ice," Rana replied, though she couldn't deny a strange feeling of connection to the small blue figure. The rest of the flight back to Echo 9 was tense. The child refused to be separated from Rana, clinging to her with surprising strength whenever anyone else approached. Lee maintained a cautious distance, clearly uncomfortable with the breach of protocol, while Torres seemed fascinated, repeatedly trying to offer the child small items from the ship's emergency rations, all of which were ignored. As they approached the outpost, Rana's calm came back to life with the base director's voice, tight with anger. "Commander Iqbal, you are ordered to proceed directly to Quarantine Bay 7. A full decontamination team will meet you there. The bioform is to be placed in isolation immediately." "Acknowledged," Rana replied, looking down at the child who was now curled against her side, those strange eyes watching her face with an unnerving intensity. "But, sir, I should note that the bioform appears to be a child and is showing signs of severe trauma. A standard isolation protocol may cause additional psychological distress." "Your concerns are noted, Commander," came the cold reply. "Proceed as ordered." The Raven docked at the designated bay, where a team in full hazard suits awaited them. The moment the hatch opened and the strangers appeared, the child began to tremble violently, her skin taking on a faint luminescent quality. "It's all right," Rana soothed, lifting the child into her arms. "They won't hurt you." But when one of the hazard-suited figures approached with a containment stretcher, the child emitted a high-pitched keening sound, and the temperature in the cabin dropped precipitously. Frost began to form on every surface. "Step back," Rana ordered the team. "She's defensive. Let me bring her in myself." The outpost's chief medical officer, Dr. Mei Watanabe, stepped forward, her expression visible through her transparent face shield. "That is not protocol, Commander." "With respect, Doctor, standard protocol isn't designed for children," Rana replied firmly. "Let me bring her to isolation. She trusts me. Once she's secure, you can run whatever tests you need." After a tense moment, Dr. Watanabe nodded reluctantly. "Very well, but only you, Commander. The rest of your team will undergo standard decontamination." Lee looked like he might object, but a sharp glance from Rana silenced him. "Understood," she said. "Lead the way." The walk through the outpost's corridors to the medical wing was surreal. Personnel stopped and stared as Rana passed with the blue-skinned child in her arms. Some looked curious, others fearful. The child took it all in with those strange silver eyes, occasionally making soft clicking sounds that might have been speech in her native language. Quarantine Bay 7 was a sterile white room with transparent walls, a fishbowl designed for observation as much as isolation. Medical equipment lined one wall, and a single bed occupied the center. Rana gently set the child down on the bed, "I need to go now," she said softly, "but I'll be back soon." The child's grip on her arm tightened, those alien eyes suddenly wide with fear. "It's okay," Rana assured her. "These people are going to help you. You're safe here." Slowly, reluctantly, the child released her grip. As Rana backed toward the door, those silver eyes never left her face. Dr. Watanabe was waiting outside, along with Base Director Hammond, a stern man whose bureaucratic adherence to regulations had always irritated Rana. "You've put this entire outpost at risk, Commander," Hammond said without preamble. "An unregistered Class A bioform. Do you have any idea?" "She's a child." "Director," Rana interrupted. "A lost, frightened child who would have died if we'd followed standard protocol." "We don't know what it is," Hammond countered, "or where it came from, or what it's capable of. Until we do, it represents a severe security risk." "The child appears to have formed an attachment to Commander Iqbal," Dr. Watanabe interjected, her tone professionally neutral. "From a medical perspective, maintaining that connection may be beneficial for keeping the subject calm during examination." Hammond scowled. "Fine. Commander Iqbal, you will assist Dr. Watanabe with the initial examination. But make no mistake, I've already reported this breach of protocol to Central. There will be consequences." As the director stormed off, Dr. Watanabe turned to Rana with a slight softening of her expression. "You should undergo decontamination before we proceed with the examination." "Of course," Rana agreed, glancing back at the quarantine room where the child sat perfectly still, those unsettling eyes still fixed on the door where Rana had exited. After a thorough decontamination process and changing into medical scrubs, Rana rejoined Dr. Watanabe outside the quarantine room. Through the transparent wall, they could see that the child hadn't moved from her position on the bed, though frost had begun to form in a perfect circle around her. "Fascinating," the doctor murmured. "Some form of thermoregulatory defense mechanism. Perhaps—" "Or she's scared," Rana suggested. "Let me go in first." The moment Rana entered the room, the child's demeanor changed. The frost receded, and a sound, almost like a purr, emanated from her throat. When Rana approached, the child reached for her hand, holding it in both of her smaller blue ones. "I'm going to need to examine her," Dr. Watanabe said, entering cautiously with a medical scanner. "Can you keep her calm?" Rana nodded, sitting beside the child on the bed. "Hey there," she said softly. "Dr. Watanabe is going to check if you're hurt anywhere. It won't hurt. I promise." The child didn't respond verbally, but watched with wary eyes as the doctor approached. When the scanner came near, she flinched, but didn't pull away or create more frost. "Remarkable," Dr. Watanabe murmured as she studied the readings. "Her cellular structure? I've never seen anything like it. And her core temperature is just above freezing. What would be hypothermia for a human seems to be normal for her species." The examination continued for nearly an hour, with the doctor becoming increasingly fascinated and the child gradually relaxing, though she never released her grip on Rana's hand. "There's something on her wrist," Rana noticed, gently turning the child's arm to reveal what looked like a thin, metallic band embedded in the blue skin. Strange symbols were etched into its surface. Dr. Watanabe scanned it. "Some kind of identification tag. Perhaps. The symbols don't match any known language in our database." "Can you remove it?" The doctor shook her head. "Not without risking damage to the surrounding tissue. It appears to be integrated with her vascular system." As they were examining the wristband, the child suddenly reached out and touched the doctor's scanner. To their surprise, the device's screen changed, displaying what appeared to be a recorded message. The audio was scratchy, distorted, but a voice, speaking heavily accented English, came through. "Final log of Operation Cryonest. Subject 13, showing strongest adaptation to the process. All other subjects non-viable. Corporate retrieval team delayed by ISI patrols. Emergency protocol enacted. Subject 13 placed in stasis at designated coordinates. If found, initiate Code Phoenix. Dominion Biotech claims all rights to... The message cut off abruptly as the child withdrew her hand from the scanner, which then returned to its normal display. Rana and Dr. Watanabe exchanged shocked glances. Dominion Biotech, the doctor whispered. The megacorp that was shut down after the illegal hybridization trials 3 years ago. Apparently not completely shut down, Rana said grimly, looking at the child with new understanding. Not just a lost alien, then, but a creation. A hybrid designed by one of the most ethically corrupt corporations in known space. We need to report this to Central immediately, Dr. Watanabe said, already moving toward the door. Wait, Rana said sharply. If Dominion has infiltrated ISI, which they'd need to do to know about our patrol patterns, then alerting Central might put her at risk. The doctor hesitated. What are you suggesting? Let's keep this between us for now, at least until we know more. After a moment of consideration, Dr. Watanabe nodded. Agreed, but Director Hammond will want a preliminary report. Tell him she's a previously unknown species, possibly native to Glacius 4. That's not even a lie. We don't know her origin for certain. As the doctor left to prepare her report, Rana studied the child more carefully. 13. The log had called her. A number, not a name. One of who knew how many experiments. You need a proper name, she told the child, who tilted her head curiously. Something better than a number. How about Frost? It suits you. The child, Frost, didn't respond verbally, but her hand tightened around Rana's, and the faintest hint of a smile touched her blue lips. For the next several days, Rana spent every available moment in Quarantine Bay 7 with Frost. The child remained mute, but increasingly responsive, learning quickly to communicate through gestures and expressions. She refused to eat standard rations but consumed frozen protein solutions with apparent enjoyment. Her only displays of distress came when medical staff attempted to examine her without Rana present, resulting in dramatic temperature drops and the formation of ice crystals on all nearby surfaces. Dr. Watanabe's tests revealed more about Frost's unique physiology, a hybrid of humanoid DNA and something else. Something with natural cryogenic properties. The nanites discovered in her bloodstream appeared to be regulators, helping her body maintain its extreme cold temperature while still functioning with metabolism similar to warm-blooded species. She's a marvel of bioengineering, the doctor admitted privately to Rana. Morally reprehensible, of course, but scientifically brilliant. She's a child, Rana corrected firmly. Not a science project. A week after Frost's arrival, Rana was summoned to Director Hammond's office. The man's expression was grave as she entered. We've received a communication, he said without preamble, activating his desk display. A corporate logo appeared. Not Dominion Biotech, but Universal Pharmaceuticals, one of the largest legitimate corporations in the sector. Universal Pharmaceuticals has filed a formal request for the transfer of what they're calling proprietary biological material recovered from Glacius 4. Hammond continued. They claim legal ownership under salvage statutes. Rana's blood ran cold. They're talking about Frost. Indeed. According to their documentation, they acquired all assets of Dominion Biotech during liquidation, including all research subjects. She's not an asset, Rana said, her voice tight with anger. She's a sentient being. That's debatable under current law, Hammond replied, though he looked uncomfortable, especially given her manufactured nature. I won't let them take her, Rana said flatly. Hammond sighed. It may not be up to you, Commander, or to me. Central is reviewing the case, but corporate law is complex, and Universal has very good lawyers. And how did Universal even know she was here? Rana demanded. That information wasn't in any public record. An excellent question, Hammond acknowledged. One which suggests the corporation may indeed have sources within ISI, as you suspected. So what happens now? For the moment, nothing. I've delayed any response pending Central's decision. But be prepared, Commander. This could get complicated. Complicated was an understatement. Over the next few days, Rana noticed increased security scans of the outpost's perimeter and unfamiliar personnel arriving on supply ships. Dr. Watanabe reported being questioned extensively about Frost's condition by Central Medical Command. They're preparing to hand her over, Rana realized during one of her visits with Frost, who was now experimenting with drawing patterns in frost on the surfaces of her room. We can't let that happen. Frost looked up at her words, those silver eyes seeming to understand more than Rana had given her credit for. She approached Rana and, for the first time, deliberately created a small ice crystal in her palm, offering it like a gift. Rana accepted it, surprised to find it didn't melt at her touch. Thank you, she said softly. That night, Rana was awakened by the outpost's security alarm. She rushed to the command center to find chaos. Sensors indicated multiple breaches in the outer perimeter, and internal communications were scrambled. Report, she demanded of the night shift officer. Unknown hostiles, he responded tensely. At least 12, maybe more. They disabled the external sensors somehow and cut through the maintenance access on the east quadrant. Alert all personnel? Full lockdown protocol, Rana ordered, already moving toward the armory. And double the guard on Quarantine Bay 7. But it was too late. As she armed herself, the comm system crackled with a panicked message from the medical wing. Commander, they're in the quarantine section. Black armor, military-grade weapons. The transmission cut off with the sound of weapons fire. Frost. They were after Frost. Rana ran, pulse rifle in hand, taking the most direct route to the medical wing. She encountered 2 of the intruders in a corridor, black armored figures with corporate mercenary insignia, barely visible beneath tactical gear. She didn't hesitate, dropping into a combat stance and firing in one fluid motion. Both went down before they could react. The closer she got to Quarantine Bay 7, the more resistance she met. These weren't standard corporate security. They were elite mercenaries, well-trained and well-equipped. Rana was forced to use every bit of her ISI combat training, and still took a grazing shot to her left arm that burned like fire. When she finally fought her way to the quarantine bay, the scene stopped her cold. The transparent walls were shattered, and 4 mercenaries in environmental suits were attempting to secure a struggling Frost into some kind of containment pod. Dr. Watanabe lay unconscious or dead near the door, blood pooling beneath her. Stop! Rana shouted, raising her rifle. The mercenaries turned, weapons coming up, but before either side could fire, something extraordinary happened. Frost, seeing Rana, let out a cry, an actual vocal sound, high and clear, and her entire body began to glow with an intense blue-white light. The temperature in the room plummeted instantly, and the mercenaries' environmental suits began to crack and splinter as extreme cold rendered the materials brittle. The men screamed as frostbite instantly blackened any exposed skin. They fired wildly, but their weapons malfunctioned in the supernatural cold. Rana, to her shock, felt only a pleasant coolness wash over her, like a gentle breeze on a hot day. In seconds, it was over. The mercenaries lay on the floor, either dead or in severe hypothermic shock. Frost stood in the center of the destruction, the glow fading from her small body, looking suddenly exhausted but unharmed. She ran to Rana, wrapping her arms around the commander's legs. Rana lifted her up, cradling her close. You're safe, she whispered. I've got you. Securing the outpost took hours. 6 mercenaries had been killed, and 5 more captured. 3 ISI personnel had died defending the base, with several others injured, including Dr. Watanabe, who had survived but suffered a severe concussion. In the aftermath, Director Hammond called an emergency meeting with Rana and the outpost's legal counsel, a sharp-minded woman named Leon Park. Universal Pharmaceuticals is already denying any connection to the raid, Hammond informed them, his face haggard from the night's events. They claim the mercenaries were rogue elements, acting without corporate authorization. Convenient, Park said dryly, but potentially useful. If they're disavowing the action, they can hardly press their claim openly now. What about Frost? Rana asked. Her status is still unclear under ISI regulations. Park tapped her datapad thoughtfully. There is a precedent. The Altair Convention includes provisions for emergency guardianship of sentient beings in cases where exploitation or harm is imminent. As an ISI commander, you have the authority to enact such a bond. A guardianship bond? Rana repeated, surprised. Such bonds were rarely used, typically only in cases involving orphan children in conflict zones. It would grant the child provisional personhood rights under your protection, Park explained. It's temporary, 6 standard months, but it would prevent any corporation from claiming ownership during that period. Hammond frowned. Central won't like it. It sets a precedent for bioengineered life forms. With respect, sir, Rana said firmly. After what happened last night, I don't particularly care what Central likes. Frost is a child, a person, not property. And she saved this outpost. After a long moment, Hammond nodded. Process the guardianship bond, Counselor Park. I'll deal with Central. The formal guardianship ceremony was simple, but profound. In the outpost's main hall, with all off-duty personnel as witnesses, Rana knelt before Frost, who watched with those intelligent silver eyes. By the authority vested in me as an ISI commander, and in accordance with the Altair Convention, I establish this bond of guardianship, Rana recited, placing a small crystal pendant around Frost's neck. The crystal would record her biometrics, creating an unbreakable link between guardian and ward. I pledge to protect, nurture, and guide this child until such time as she can determine her own path. Let all present bear witness. As the crystal touched Frost's blue skin, it glowed briefly, then settled against her chest, pulsing gently in time with her heartbeat. And then, to everyone's astonishment, Frost spoke her first word. Rana, she said, her voice high and musical, with a slight echoing quality that was distinctly non-human. She touched Rana's face with her small blue hand. Rana. The commander felt tears prick her eyes as she pulled the child into an embrace. Yes, she whispered. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. 1 year later, Rana stood at the window of her new quarters on the ISI Central Station, watching as Frost, now fluent in 3 languages and showing remarkable aptitude for mathematics, worked on a complex holographic puzzle. The blue-skinned child had grown several inches and had adapted well to life among humans, though she still required significantly lower temperatures than most humanoids. The door chimed, admitting Dr. Watanabe, who had transferred to Central with them after the Glacius incident. How is our star pupil today? The doctor asked with a smile for Frost, who beamed back at her. The two had developed a close relationship during Frost's ongoing medical monitoring. I finished the quantum mechanics module, Frost announced proudly, her voice still carrying that musical quality. Dr. Watanabe, can I try the astrophysics one next? One step at a time, the doctor laughed. But yes, I think you're ready. She turned to Rana. The latest results are in. Her cellular stability has improved another 12%. The new nanite programming is working. Rana nodded, relief washing through her. Frost's hybrid nature had initially caused concerns about her long-term health, but Dr. Watanabe's treatments had gradually stabilized her condition. And the legal status? The doctor asked quietly, moving away from Frost, who had returned to her puzzle. The full citizenship hearing is next month, Rana replied. But Park thinks it's mostly a formality now, after Frost's testimony helped shut down the remaining Dominion operations. She has a lot of supporters in Central Command. Dr. Watanabe smiled. And after that? Rana glanced at the child, who had changed her life so completely in just 1 year. After that, we have options. A research posting on Europa, where the climate would suit her. Or the new xenobiology program at the ISI Academy. They've already expressed interest in having her attend when she's older. And you, still planning to stay with ISI? Rana nodded. Where else would we go? ISI is home now, for both of us. As if sensing she was being discussed. Frost looked up and smiled. A genuine, warm expression that transformed her alien features into something beautiful and familiar. The bond crystal at her throat pulsed steadily, matching the rhythm of Rana's own heartbeat. From a number to a name. From an experiment to a person. From abandoned to beloved. It was a journey neither of them could have imagined that day on the ice plains of Glaciatharf. Yet here they were, guardian and ward, commander and child. A family forged not by blood but by choice and courage. And as Frost returned to her studies, Rana knew with absolute certainty that whatever challenges they would face in the future, they would face them together.